Anjanashalakaya Chakshurunmilitam yena tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam yena bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurum Vaishnavamsha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatham Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhamvitamsha Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swamin Niti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Deenabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namastute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha Kalpatarubhisya Kripa Sindhebhya eva cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namah. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. Welcome to the Manah Siksha series of seminars based on Raghunath Das Goswami's work. Yesterday we began with the first verse discussion and the Bhajan Darpan commentary. We will recite this verse once again and then we will begin our discussion. Gurau Goshte Goshtaleshu Sujane Bhusuragane Swamantre Shinamni Brajanava Yuva Dvanda Sharane Sadadambam Hitva Kururati Mapurvamatitaram Aiswantar Bhratashchatubhir Abhiyache Dritapada. So yesterday we began discussing this first verse and Bhaktivinoda Thakur's Bhajan Darpan commentary and how these 8 things, oh my dear brother mind, Swantar Bhrata is addressing Sada Dambam Hitva, having given up pride, give up pride altogether. And then do what? You give up this and do what? Develop, Kuru, unprecedented and excessive attachment. Ratim, Apurvam, Atitaram. To what all? Guru, Guru, Sri Vrindavan, Goshte, Goshtaleshu, the Vrajvasis, the pure devotees, who are the Uttamadikaris. Sujane, to the Vaishnavas of all other sampradayas, who are the Madhyamadikaris. Bhusuragane, to the Brahmanas. And then to the confidential mantra given by the Guru. This is referring to the Gayatri mantra, the second initiation, Diksha mantras. And to Sri Namne, to the holy names. That is referring to the Hare Krishna mantra. And Vraja Nava Yuva Dvanda Sharane. And to the process of surrendering to the fresh youthful couple of Vraj, Vraja Nava Yuva Dvanda Sharani. And he is addressing his mind by falling at his feet. Hey, Bratu, Dritapada, holding your feet, I beseech you with sweet word. Chatubir Abiyache. So yesterday we began this discussion and we saw the shlokartha in the Bhajan Darpan commentary. We first saw the shlokartha of Guru, Goshte, Goshtalin, and then Sujana, Bhusuragana, and then Swamantre, Sri Namna, and then Braja Nava Yuva Dvanda Sharani. So today we will further continue the discussion on the shlokartha. Oh, there's some mistake here. So after these 8 things, shlokartha, Bhaktivinoda Thakur says, Dambam hitva, give up pride. Now we will go into the contemporary deep understanding of how difficult it is to give up pride. Bhaktivinoda Thakur keeps it very simple in his commentary, but especially Shivram Swami Maharaj and Bhaktivedanta Goswami Maharaj go quite deep into this analysis of the pride. So that time we will take up. But Bhaktivinoda Thakur keeps it very simple in his traditional commentary. The varieties of Damba include Maya, illusion and trickery, Avidya, ignorance, Kapatata, cheating, Asaralta, lack of direct simplicity, and Shatya, deceit and duplicity. So these are the varieties of pride. These are the different shades of pride which manifest in these ways. And all this we will be seeing quite in detail in the contemporary study, which we will begin today. While cultivating pure devotional service, if there is any other motive besides progression in bhakti, then one is engaged in a kind of cheating or duplicity. So please mark the statement that in Mishra Bhakti, if you are practicing bhakti with any abhilasha, that itself is cheating. So in Shuddha Bhakti, this is not allowed. So if you want to come to the point of beginning your pure devotional service, then all these ulterior motives we have to give up. We have to give up. And right in the first verse, Raghunath Das Goswami is making it very, very, very clear that we have to give up this. If philosophical detachment, jnana, or good works for material enjoyment, karma, is prominent in the devotional process, then ignorance, avidya, will be seen as more powerful than bhakti. So when Bhaktivinoda Thakur says give up pride, and he says avidya is also kind of pride. So if there is inclination for jnana or karma, if your bhakti is more jnana pradhan or karma pradhan, then that is because of avidya. And in that case, avidya is more powerful than bhakti. So you have to give up that. If any unfavorable mood is present in the development of bhakti, it is disguised form of Maya. So he is now elaborating on all these varieties of Damba. So first he explained what is avidya, and now he's explaining what is, first he explained kutinati, that is deceit, shatya, and he has now explained avidya, and now he has explained what is Maya. Maya is unfavorable mood, which is if it is present in the development of bhakti, then it is Maya. So we can see that the the mood is, what our acharyas have given. Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur is to always, whoever is to pay obeisances to him, address him, he is to always say Dasosmi. And the mood is set up in the Shikshashtaka verse. Trunadapi Sunichena, Tarorapi Saishna, Amanina Manadena, Kirtanya Sadahari. So this is the right mood by which we can always chant the holy name, and this is the mood by which we can take up to pure devotional service without developing this prerequisite quality of Trinadapi Sunichena, being humbler than the blade of glass and more tolerant than a tree, always offering respect to others and never expecting. One cannot come to the platform of pure devotional service. So this is the right mood. If you don't have this mood, if you have the mood of, seeking position in the practice of devotional service, seeking some other favors based on the position. So this is all Maya. This is all Maya. It is disguised in the form of Maya, he says. And in fact, Bhaktivinoda Thakur in his Shikshastra commentary mentions that the Nishta stage is referring to this Trunadapi Sunichena verse. And as we've been discussing, only when we come to that Nishta stage, then pure devotional service begins. And when you have begun pure devotional service, then you have to give up the subtle forms of these other moods which are unfavorable for the development of now bhakti. Now here development of bhakti is development of Shuddha bhakti now. We have to understand that. One must give up all such things. The next one. When one engages in the cultivation of pure devotional service, illusions about duties of occupation and stage of life, varnashram dharma, material desires, the self is, for the Gyan path, the self is more important. God, material energy, life's goals, and the process of success will all disappear. So, because when one comes to the point of Sarva Dharman Parityaja, when Krishna says that Arjuna, you Sarva Dharman Parityaja, you give up. Sarva Dharman Parityaja means you give up your identity as a Kshatriya, who is part of the Varnashram, participating in this war. And you maintain your identity as a pure spirit soul, part and parcel of me. And perform this, service of fighting for my pleasure. That is Shuddha Bhakti. So giving up, illusions about the occupations of the duties and stage of life. One should not identify himself as a Brahmana or a Kshatriya or a Vaishya or a Shudra. But one should identify as what? What is our identification when we take up to pure devotional service? Who will answer this? I will take your question, Mataji, and just hold a minute. Let my question be first answered. We should give up this identity of, I'm a Kshatriya, I'm a Vaishya, I'm a Shudra, I'm a Brahmana, I'm a doctor, I'm an engineer. So what should be our identity? So there are two hands raised. Three have been raised, but first Dr. Archana Mataji has raised. So let us give her a chance. Yes, Mataji.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji Dandavat Pranam. We should always remember that we are part and parcel of Krishna.
Little more specific. What should be our identity?
I am not body, I am the soul.
Okay, that is on the Jnana platform.
I am servant of the servant of the servant.
I am servant of the servant of the
servant. I am Dasanudas.
Yes. Still more specific now. You got it.
I am not able to.
No, you have reached the correct answer. Servant of the servant of the servant of whom?
of Krishna, the lotus feet of Krishna.
Okay. Yes. Okay, but still I will ask now other devotees. Yes, Janardhan Prabhuji, Jagdishwar Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna, Dandavat. Yes, this is what says Das Dasanu Das there. But again, that mood is to be that I am very tucha, I am fallen, actually.
Okay.
That's it. That should be the mood, actually.
Okay.
I
Okay.
mean,
Sorry. My mistake. Yeah. The answer is clear. Das, Dasanu, Das. But now I want something specific. What mood, our Sampradaya is holding. What is the mood, exact mood? Sutapa Prabhuji. Yes.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. I think this is Gopi Bhartu Pad Kamali or Das Das.
Yes. This is the mood Mahaprabhu has come to teach us. Gopi Bhartur Padkamalayor Das Dasanu Das. Aradhya Bhagwan Vrajatanes Tadhama Vrindavanam. Ramya Kachit Upasana. So our identity is that I'm the servant of the servant of the servant of the gopis, that mood we should, so all this will disappear. So it is interesting, even God, God in his Aishwarya, a majestic feature will also disappear. God as, more as a friend, as a servant. I'm the servant of Krishna. I'm the friend of Krishna. I'm the in parental mood, and I'm the lover of Krishna. That mood is quite in the Madhurya mood. So this will also disappear. Okay. Next, Apurva Rati. Now, very nice, Bhaktivinoda Thakur mentions Apurva Rati. The love inherent in the soul is pure love for the Lord. Atma Rati is Shuddha Rati. So, Atma Rati. Rati means attraction or love. Bhava is the stage also which is called as Rati. So, the Atma's pure consciousness flows towards the supreme consciousness. The soul's consciousness flows towards the supreme soul. So this is Rati or pure love. Now there is the pure soul and there is the subtle body, and there are unlimited impressions in the subtle body, and the consciousness from the soul passes through the subtle body, and with these desires, it's like a white bulb light which is covered by some red color layer. So the light which comes out is red. So similarly, the subtle body which has desires, the consciousness flows towards the material world. But the pure consciousness flows towards only for the Lord. That is Atmarati or Shuddharati. Oh, I don't know why this has happened. Okay. When that pure love in the conditioned soul comes in contact with dull matter of Maya, it transforms into material attachment. So I was explaining the same point that pure love in the conditioned soul, when it comes with contact with this material energy, Maya, then it transforms into material attachment. In pure Krishna Bhakti, the original, eternal, deeply emotional attachment remains fixed and visible at all times because Sri Krishna is the soul of all souls. So, in Krishna Bhakti, what happens is the soul has its emotions. And we know the mind also is our emotional part. The intellect is the the discriminative part, the decision-making part. And usually our mind becomes attached to material things, and the mind is part of the subtle body. And the soul also has emotions, pure spiritual emotions. And the soul's emotions are to become attached to spiritual substances like Krishna. Krishna is a Vastu. So, when there is pure Krishna Bhakti, then the deep emotional attachment is at all times to Krishna and things related to Krishna. During conditioned life, while performing devotional service, a soul becomes filled with apurva rati, love that has no material precedent in proportion to the expression of the soul's inherent emotional attachment. So now when we are speaking of the emotion, it is not the emotion of the mind, it is the emotion of the soul. And we should remember this. This is the emotion of the soul. So this specifically starts developing with the practice of Raganuga Bhakti, where the Raganuga Sadhaka, we should remember he's still a Sadhaka, he's not a Siddha. The Raganuga Sadhaka is now becomes more attached to the Ragatmika Bhaktas, the eternal associates, and he wants to develop that mood. And then he starts practicing Bhakti, following in their footsteps. What mood they have in their worship to Krishna, he wants to develop that mood, and he starts following in their footsteps, and that sadhana itself is called as Raganuga Sadhana. So this mood starts developing at the stage of Nishtha, and at the stage of Bhava, when the gross and subtle connections are cut off and the soul's Sarupa is revealed, spiritual Sarupa in the spiritual world is revealed, then the soul's inherent emotional attachment is 100% towards Krishna, 99% you can say at Bhava, 100% at Prema. So this is how it happens. And this slowly that Rati develops. Now, as Vaidhi sadhakas or sadhakas who have taken up the practice of bhakti, by studying Mani Shiksha, we should start developing attachment to, the holy places like Vrindavan, Puri, and Mayapur. The pure devotees, we should become attached to more and more deeper to our spiritual masters and our Shiksha gurus, and to the Madhyama and the Kanishta Vaishnavas, and especially to Sri Namni, the chanting of the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. Atitaram Kuru, make intense endeavor. Atishay Vidhan. So as long as one doesn't put in endeavor to do this, then it will not reflect that, you have love for Krishna. You have to show endeavor. Now, Bhaktivinoda Thakur speaks something very interesting. Enthusiastically feel encouraged to progress and take full shelter of devotional path. Do not become complacent thinking, if I am lucky, I will get spiritual success. Or if it is not in my fortune, then I will not achieve it. As much as mercy of Guru and Krishna combined with one's own endeavors, one gets spiritual potency. Mother Yashoda, to bind Krishna, she put in a lot of effort. Not only all the ropes which were in her house, in all the neighboring houses she collected and she tried. And then when she was sweating, Krishna's kripa, mercy awakened. And then he allowed her to bind. So our endeavor, as much as we put in our endeavor, the more the mercy of Guru and Krishna will combine. And then we'll get the spiritual potency. That's the point here. As much as that spiritual potency manifests, one desires to enjoy the fruits of one's own actions will be diminished. So the more the spiritual potency, then the more the spiritual strength of your spiritual activities, the material strength will start becoming weaker and weaker and it will come down. So that is regarding only the shlokartha right now. So are there any questions up till now? There was one hand raised for question that was by Ras Parayani Mataji. Yes, Mataji.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. My question is that when we say that we have to go beyond the Varnashram identifications that we have, but having said that, though we can understand it on the theoretical basis, but then the question arises that in Bhagavad Gita, we also learned one of the reasons why Krishna instructs Arjuna to fight is because Arjuna is Kshatriya by nature. So the idea is to fight. So many a times when we are working on the material level also, it so happens that whatever is our nature, since we are not on the pure black form, so that psychophysical nature is also taken into consideration. So when we are learning this, these two things seem to be parallel. So how to understand that?
Yes, very important question this is. Firstly, we have to understand that initially in the second chapter of the Gita, Krishna begins his teaching that you are not the body or the spirit soul. Having understood that, Arjuna, considering yourself, your position in the Varnashram as a Kshatriya, you are duty bound to fight. So that's the first level he goes. And then he goes on to do to the next level that, perform your duty, karma yoga, in Varnashram means karma yoga, without desiring the fruits. And then he goes to the next level. By doing like this, you'll become a Sthita Pragya. Then he'll go to the Gyan level in the fifth chapter. And then he goes to the Ashtanga and then begins the Bhakti, the 7th chapter to the 12th chapter. And then, from the 13th till the 18th, he discusses Gyan Yoga. So ultimately, if you see, there is a progression there. Although now we understand we are not the body, we are the spirit soul, theoretically, and we take up to the spiritual practice, but the bodily identification remains gross and the identification of the psychophysical makeup remains. So we need to balance. I'm a doctor by profession, so I do my doctor profession. And now when I'm doing that, I see every patient as a patient sent by Krishna, and not only have to heal him physically, but holistically. I present myself in such a way that they are inspired to take up Krishna consciousness. So like that, when I start doing, I'm still acting as per my psychophysical nature first. Secondly, all my activities, because of my conditioned psychophysical nature, which I'm doing, now I'm slowly dovetailing them towards faith so that they become favorable to Krishna consciousness. At the same time, I'm doing my constitutional activities that are pure devotional service. That is like hearing, chanting, attending satsangs, all the angas of bhakti. So there is a balance which we have to do with both our conditional activities and constitutional activities. And the more we do, the conditioned nature, the more we make it favorable so that more we can do constitutional activities, the conditioned nature comes down, it gets purified. And ultimately, we come to a point where the conditioned nature is completely, we become free of it. And that's the point that we now are ready to do only constitutional activities continuously. And for your kind information, although now before we were conditioned to do those activities because the conditioned nature was pushing us, now because we have transcended our conditioned nature, we might still do our previous activities of a profession of a doctor, but now we are on a transcendental platform. We are on a transcendental platform. Like, there was Mukund in the Krishna, in the Chaitanya Leela, who was a Vaidya. of the Nawab Muslim king. And once the king called him, and Mukund came to see him, and he just saw the fan. He was being fanned by the peacock feather, and just seeing the peacock feather, he went into ecstasy. So he was still practicing his profession of a doctor, but now he was on the transcendental platform. So when we come to the constitutional or the transcendental platform, at that point, we do all activities. We come to the point of Sarvadharman Paritejya. We come to the point of Sarvadharman Paritejya. And from there onwards, pure devotional service begins. Pure devotional service begins from there. This we have to be very, very clear. So, when we begin our pure devotional service, then there's no question of the conditioned nature. And for your kind information, just to give an example, Maharaj Janak was a Kshatriya, but he was a pure devotee. And although being a pure devotee, he did not do his Kshatriya dharma, but he did it to set an example, because others who don't have adhikar on that high platform, they might imitate his activities and to lead the praja. So now no more he was conditioned by the Kshatriya nature. He was on the transcendental platform. He was a pure devotee, but yet he did his varnashram duties just to set an example for others. Otherwise, there was no need for him to do varnashram duties. Maharaj Janak. So that is how we have to understand it. I hope it is clear, Mataji.
Yes, Prabhuji.
Yes, okay. Fine. Any other questions up till now? Shlokartha, which we have discussed. Okay, so now we'll go to the, after giving the Shlokartha, he gives an instructive commentary. To be eligible to receive the pure instructions in this verse, a person should already have achieved faith, Shraddha, in the path of loving devotion service to Krishna. Now we will come to what this Shraddha means. This Shraddha means Purna Shraddha. I will take up when we discuss Shivram Swami Maharaj commentary. Such faith comes from the potency of association of saintly persons, sadhu sangha, manifesting within the heart. So from Shraddha comes sadhu sangha. That potency diminishes the tendency to perform karma, actions for material gain. So this sadhu sangha is so potent that it diminishes the tendency to perform any actions, karma. I don't know whether I gave example in this forum. I recently happened to personally hear from one of Prabhupada's disciples, who's a Grahastha Krutu Prabhu. He and his wife were visiting one temple where I was hearing his Bhagavatam class. And he mentioned how he joined. He was working abroad as a very big professional engineer. And he was working in a multinational company, drawing a huge salary. And because he was from a pious background, when Prabhupada started establishing his movement in the Western world, he came in touch with Prabhupada's movement. And he invited Prabhupada to his house, and Prabhupada came. And Prabhupada gave a talk. He said, there are so many engineers, professors, lecturers. Why don't you become a preacher? Give up everything and just join the preaching movement. So Krutu Prabhu and his wife, Krutu Prabhu next day resigned from his job and full-time joined the temple as a preacher. Gave all his, lifelong earnings, assets, everything he donated. That was Sarva Dharman Paritejya. That was the potency of the Sadhu Sangha of Srila Prabhupada. That he, they gave up all actions and continuously started doing preaching activities. So this is that kind of Shraddha, this kind of sadhus, Mahabhagavats, like Prabhupada can, they can invest in somebody's heart. This is very, very deep Shraddha. So with this kind of Shraddha, what happens? And Sadhu Sangha, It diminishes the tendency to perform karma, actions for material gain. When Shraddha develops, the first action is to accept and take shelter of an initiating spiritual master, Diksha Guru, as well as Diksha Mantra to worship Yugal Kishore, the divine couple, Shri Radha Krishna. So with Shraddha, there is, we accept, surrender. We surrender to the spiritual master. Shraddha is synonymous to Sharanagati. Sharanagati. After receiving the mantra, one should worship one's Shiksha and Diksha gurus with pure devotion and attachment to their lotus feet. That was what Manah Shiksha first verse is saying. Guru Goshte Goshtaleshu. One should, have Ratim Apurvam Atitaram to Guru and Goshte first. So to Guru is both the Shiksha and the Diksha Gurus. One should not go to the Guru for some material, benefits or go with some material problems. He should go to the Guru to ask only how I can advance in pure devotion. Most of the time, the disciples approach their spiritual master because they have some material problems. But one should approach a spiritual master only how I can practice pure devotion. So this is, this is when one has very deep Shraddha. One should not only respect gurus as saints using rational intelligence, but one should also deal with one's gurus as while wishing friends. So at a very deep level, intimate level, one should have a deep affection and friendship with gurus. Always respect and serve the three types of Vaishnavas: junior, intermediate, and advanced, according to their eligibility, with love and friendly manner. So, who are the junior, intermediate, and advanced? Who will answer this? According to this verse of Manah Shiksha and according to Raghunath Das Goswami. Who are the junior, intermediate, and advanced? One hand has been raised. What about others? We have discussed today also and last class yesterday also about this. Okay, Virendra Yadav, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu Dandatna. Prabhu, here junior refers to Sattvic Brahmanas and this intermediate refers to Vaishnava devotees of the Lord and
Other sampradayas,
yes, other sampradayas.
whether they are residing in Vraj or not.
Yes, yes.
And then?
And this advanced refers to the residents of Brajvasis.
No, advanced refers to pure devotees who are actually Brajvasis. And either they are physically residing or mentally residing in Vrindavan.
Yes, yes.
So now this Kanishta Madhyam classification is done based on loving dealings. How friendship you have, how much nice friendship you have with a Sri Vaishnava Sampradaya Sannyasi, and that will be considered as intermediate. It doesn't mean that he is not a sannyasi and Mahabhagavat. He is a Mahabhagavat, Uttamadhikari, but based on friendly dealing and love, he is classified as intermediate. One should also develop deep attachment to chanting the mantras and serving the holy name. Nama Seva. We should have deep attachment. That is very important for us. One should come to the point of complete surrender to the lotus feet of the divine couple, knowing them to be one's life and soul. This surrender is called Sharanagati. As I mentioned, that Shraddha means Sharanagati, is synonymous to Sharanagati. From there, Sarva Dharman Parityaja, pure devotion begins. So this is the instructive commentary. of Bhaktivinoda Thakur. Okay, any questions up till now? Okay, so then we will now go, as I mentioned in yesterday's class, Bhaktivinoda Thakur was also what he has composed is called as the Manashiksha Bhasha, a song in which the verse is explained in the form of instruction. It's in the form of a bhajan. Gurudeva Vraja Jane, Vraja Bhumi Vasi Jane, Shuddha Bhakte Ara Vipragane, Ishtamantre Hariname, Yugal Bhajan Kame, Kararati Apurvayatane. O mind, desire to serve the young couple of Vraj, Yugala Bhajana Kame, with uncommon wonderful attachment. Rati Apurvam Yatane. Who all? Gurudev, the forest of Vraj, Vraja Vane, the residents of Vraj, Vraja Bhumi, Vasijane, the pure devotees and the Brahmanas, Shuddha Bhakta are a Vipragana. Vipragana are the Brahmanas. Your Ishtamantre and the holy name. So this entire Manashiksha verse, in this first Manashiksha Bhasa verse, he tells you have a desire to serve the youthful couple, then develop wonderful attachment for them, and all these 7, total there are 8. Dhari mana charane tomar, jani ache e basar, Krishna bhakti vina ar, nahi guche jiver samsar. O heart, I beg you, dhari mane charan tomar. He's as I Swantar Bratush Chatubir Abhiyache Dritapada. Dritapada is explained here. Janiyache Ebasar. I know the essence. What is that? Krishna Bhakti Vina Ar. Without devotion to all these, along with devotion for Krishna, the soul will not escape the cycle of birth and death. Nahi guche jivera samsar. So very nicely in his Manashiksha Bhasha, he's explaining the Manashiksha first verse. Karma jnana tapa yoga, sakalita karma bhoga, karma chadita kehanare, sakala chadiya bhoy, shraddha devira gunagoy, yandra kripa bhakti dete pare. Consider that action, karma, knowledge, jnana, asceticism, tapa, and yoga only further bind one to karma and certainly are unable to free one from it. Sakali ta karma bhoga. Karma chadite keha nare. Renounce all these. Sakala chadiya bhai. O brother, and sing the praise of the goddess of faith. Shraddha devira gunagai, whose grace can bestow devotion. Yandra kripa bhakti dete pare. So Shraddha Devi is also a personified goddess. Bhakti Devi, she's a goddess. So sing the glories of her by which you can get pure devotion. Chadi dhamba anukshana smara ashta tattva mana karata hai nishkapatarati seirati pratnaya Sri Das Goswami Pai, A Bhakti Vinod Karenati. Give up pretenses and meditate on the 8-fold truths. Chadi Dhamba Anukshana. Smara Ashta Tattva Mane. The Ashta Tattva are Guru, Goshte, Goshtaleshu, Sujane, Bhusuragane, Swamantre, Shri Namne, and Vraja Nava Yuva Swanda Sarani. At every moment, please mark this point. Give up pretense at every moment. Give up pride at every Sada Dhammam Hitva. Love them all without ulterior motives. Tare kahe nishkapat rati. With prayers for attaining such love, Bhaktivinoda bows at the lotus feet of Sri Raghunath Das Goswami. Se rati pratnaya Sri Das Goswami Pai e Bhaktivinoda kare ati. So this is the Manah Siksha Bhasha. In 4 verses, he is explaining the same in the form of a song. The whole explanation of this 4th verse, which is called as Manah Siksha Bhasha. So the devotees rise above worldly duties, speculative knowledge, and mystic yoga. Give up all this. Sarva dharman paritaja. Give up sarva dharman paritaja means give up Gyan yoga, Ashtanga yoga, Varnashram, Dharma, everything, and perform pure devotion to me. That is the point. Okay. Any questions up till now? Everyone is silent. After hearing Bhaktivinoda Thakur's commentary. Yes, Virendra Yadav Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu Dhanutna. Prabhu, if I just elaborate this Atitaram Kuru, make intensive endeavor. Little.
Yeah. Apurvam Atitaram Kuru. Apurvam means unprecedented. Never before we have heard like this. And Atitaram means excessive or very, very deep. Very, very deep. So not shallow, not something which is shallow. It should be very, very deep. And Atitaram also means very intense endeavor. One has to endeavor a lot. And don't think that bhakti, without any endeavor, I will get. If you are in that illusion, then you're controlled by pride, and pride has these different varieties in the form of Maya. Look at what the endeavors Srila Prabhupada took. He's a Nitya Siddha coming from the spiritual world, Saktavesh Avatar. But what an endeavor in his Grahast life to preach he took. Completely unsuccessful, but yet continued from 1944 to 1964. 1959 when he took sannyas, moving back and forth, Vrindavan, Delhi, selling Back to Godhead magazines in the streets of Delhi. So these are the kind of endeavors one has to make. And seeing these endeavors, Krishna will bestow us. So Atitaram means making intense endeavor, and Apurva means unprecedented love. Kuru means we have to do. So that is the point which is being mentioned. I hope it is clear.
Thank you. Thank you.
Sunita Mataji. Yes.
Hare Krishna, Dandavat Pranam Prabhuji. Prabhuji, I wanted to know the difference, and as Bhaktivinoda Thakur has said about Sarva Dharman Parityaja, that is Sharanagati, total Sharanagati. So can we relate it to Sharanagati and a woman's life and devotion?
No, can you speak a little loudly and more clearly?
Hare Krishna. As Bhaktivinoda Thakur speaks about Sharanagati, total Sharanagati, Sarva Dharman Parityaja. So how can we relate this to a female devotee? What is her swadharma, or what should be her level of Sharanagati?
No, it doesn't matter whether it is a male or a female. That has nothing to do with with surrender, Sharanagati. I think your question is more related to that when we are practicing devotion, as female, what are our duties? How we should come to this point of Sharanagati. Is that right, Mataji?
Yes, how can we come to the level of Sharanagati when
Yes.
Prabhupada says that we cannot take sannyas?
Yes.
There is sannyas is not allowed for females according to the Shastras.
Yes.
How can a grihastha female take up to that Sharanagati level?
Yes. Yeah. So that's what I felt, that this is a question. Now, firstly, we should remember that the soul by nature is neither male or female. Male or female here, when we refer male or female bodies. I'm referring to male or female bodies. In the spiritual world, there are male bodies. They are more spiritual bodies, and there are female bodies also. But the soul by nature is Prakriti. The soul by nature is feminine, and Krishna is Purusha, masculine. So, but the soul now, because of this psychological makeup of a gross and subtle body, has these identifications as a male or a female. Now, based on the psychological setup, every body has a particular function, and these functions are required to be done. So when we take up to devotion, or when we come to Krishna consciousness, we have to perform these duties. And in one sense, many times this question has come up, and I was mentioning how, in fact, sometimes we feel that the female body is disadvantageous for practicing pure devotion or to come to point of Sharanagati. There are both plus and minus for both. Now, if you see on the other sense, if a female body is, if a Mataji is taking care of the family, taking care of the house, cooking for the deities, all those activities are somehow devoted to devotion, and sometimes they are direct devotion, like cooking. Cooking, you are cooking for the deities at home. It's directly devotion. So there is, in one sense, no much sin involved. Whereas the males, in order to earn money, they have to work out, they have to go out, deal with the material energy, and they have to take a lot of toll, and that affects their consciousness. For them, it is little difficult to even chant their rounds and practice. So like that, there are advantages and disadvantages. And you were mentioning about females cannot take sannyas, but there is something called as natural sannyas. Now, what is natural sannyas? Now, as you do your duties, balance your duties with respect to your duties in relationship with your body, in whatever role you are there, as a student or as a mother or whatever it is, and practice over a period of time and years. If we do these activities very sincerely, now, as we grow old, say 50, 55, 60, and if both the husband and wife are practicing, it never happens that both the husband and wife leave together this world on the same day at the same time. Never it happens. Either the husband first leaves or the wife first leaves. So if the wife first leaves, then the husband takes natural sannyas. And if he's qualified to take sannyas, he can take sannyas. And if the husband leaves, then the wife naturally she takes natural sannyas. And we see that now, she has done all her duties, all her responsibilities. And now she's more able to devote time to come to that point of surrender or Sharanagati. So like that, Krishna will make arrangement. So it doesn't depend on the externals of the designation of the Swabhava based on male and female. It is all dependent on the consciousness. It is all dependent on the consciousness. I hope this is clear to you, Mataji.
Yes, Prabhuji, yes. Hare Krishna, thanks.
Okay, so now we just today begin with the commentary of Shivram Swami Maharaj. This will take around 2 to 3 classes, and Bhakti Vigyan Goswami Maharaj commentary will take at least 4 to 5 classes. So please stay tuned, and these contemporary Acharya commentaries are very, very important, especially in the modern times for applying the Manashiksha verses in our life. So I will just take only one short theme in today's class, and we'll continue our discussion tomorrow. So this is the verse. Guru goshte goshtaleshu sujane bhusuragane swamantre shri namni brajanava yuva dvanda sharane sadadambam hitva kururati mapurvamatitaram aiswantar prataschtubit abhiyache dritapada. I'll not read the translation. We have done the Anvaya already. Now, I have Shivram Swami Maharaj gave a series of lectures on Manashiksha, and these lectures were later on typed, and now in the Manashiksha book, these lectures are now in the form of written notes. So I have what I have done is I have systematically developed divided them into paragraphs with particular themes. So paragraphs 1 to 6, the theme is what happens with the development of faith. What happens with the development of faith? So let us now go to the commentary. Now, any questions you have while discussing the commentary, please raise your hands. In his commentary, the question Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur identifies as being principal to Manashiksha is, what is this? What happens when faith, Shraddha in talks of Krishna, Krishna Katha occurs in a living being? So when Shraddha happens, these are the 8 things we should develop, which is what Manashiksha is saying. The answer is stated here that one develops love for the spiritual master, Vrindavan Dham, the Vrajvasi, Vaishnavas, the Brahmanas, and the holy name, and takes shelter of Radha and Krishna. So this Shraddha is at the initial stages, there is no deep love for the spiritual master and Vrindavan Dham. But when that Shraddha matures to a very high degree, then there is deeper love and all that happens. We will go to that different levels of Shraddha understanding either today or tomorrow. In an overall sense, paragraph 2, this verse describes the development of faith as being the inaugurator of further activities. So with the development of faith, all these further activities happen. The further activities are these 7 activities or 8 activities, you can say. Raghunath Das Goswami explains the natural course of activities for one in whom Shraddha has become manifest. Shraddha is a rare commodity. Srila Rupa Goswami says, Janma Koti Sukritir na labhyate. It is not something that can be very easily acquired, but rather may take many millions of lifetimes. So here, I want to give you a deeper understanding that when we do Agyat Sukruti of some serving a sadhu or giving some donation to a sadhu, we don't know that we have acquired spiritual credits, bhakti credits. And this Agyat Sukruti over a period of lifetimes develops into form of Shraddha. And with this Shraddha, we hear about Krishna and associate with devotees and take up to practice of Krishna consciousness. There is development of Shraddha happening. We have still our conditioned nature and we are doing those activities. And now we are doing bhakti activities also. As we keep on hearing more about Krishna, more do devotional activities, we come to a point that we don't want to now do conditional activities. We become disgusted. Tavat karmani kurveta na nirvidyet yavata. Nirvidyat means when you completely become disgusted. Now you say, I have done all my duties based on my body. I want to now, I've developed so much deep faith in Krishna that I want to completely surrender my life at his lotus feet. That time, you have attained accumulated lot of Shraddha now. And that has become Purna Shraddha. And Sarva Dharman Paritejya has happened. Sarva Dharman Paritejya has happened. And now you have taken it up to exclusive practicing of bhakti and angas of bhakti. And with this kind of bhajan, when anarth nivritti happens, you develop an intense greed to attain that same mood the Vrajvasis have. That mood you want to attain, that time, this is the qualification to now practice Raganuga Bhakti. Janma Krutir Sukritir Nalabhu. Krishna Bhakti Rasa Bhavita Mati Kriyatam Kuto Labbate Tatra Laulyam Ekamulanam Janma Koti Sukritir Nalabate. This verse is quoted here. Laulyam. So when you develop that intense greed, that means your faith by practicing Vaidhi Sadhana Bhakti after Sarva Dharman Paritejya, I am speaking, has come to a point where you have developed intense greed to practice Raganuga Bhakti. So this is how we have to understand these three levels of Sukriti. It is not a byproduct of karma, nor it can be acquired by a mental speculation. There is only one real means by which one can acquire faith, and that is solely through the association of devotees. Shraddha it takes birth in Sadhu Sangha, only in Sadhu Sangha. If you associate with karmis, you will get Karma Unmukha Sukriti. If you associate with Gyanis, you will attain Gyan Unmukha Sukriti. But when you associate with devotees, you get Bhakti Unmukha Sukriti, which is Shraddha, faith in spiritual activities. Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur explains that there is a certain process by which Shraddha develops. I'll take this one paragraph and then we'll end. He first explains the position of one who does not possess faith. Even by asking what the condition is of someone who does not actually possess any faith, the lack of faith is evidenced, and one remains unqualified to actually hear Krishna Katha, or specifically unqualified to take shelter of Krishna Katha and progressive spiritual life. If one is not hearing Krishna Katha, not taking shelter of all these items, that means he lacks Shraddha. That is the point. That is the point. Okay, so I will continue. There are another 3-4 paragraphs, but time is up. I will continue this discussion tomorrow. But up till now, what we have discussed, Shivaram Swami Maharaj commentary. Any questions anyone has? Any questions, any clarifications? Okay, then, so we will stop here. Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Shri Raghunath Das Goswami ki jai, Shri Shivaram Swami Maharaj ki jai, Shri Manah Siksha ki jai. Hare Krishna.